So in the lead up to Christmas, I wanted to do this video, which is all about discounts. And it's like, to discount or not to discount. And it's such a big conversation, and one that I think will continue to go on, because it's not like you kind of just land there and you go, oh, that's what I'm going to do. Because like anything in this creative journey, it evolves as we do, right? We are our business. I am my business, you are your business, and we're here together collectively to work on our businesses, which are reflections of who we are, who I am, who you are. But today I want to be talking to you about discounts and really giving you a few perspectives that you can keep in mind when it comes to your business and your strategy, right? And I really want to highlight that for a second, because I want you to remember that this is your business, right? You get to make the decisions. You get to feel into what's right at the time. But I guess my mission and my purpose is really to be able to give you some ideas and give you some thoughts for how you can simplify and amplify your journey online so that you can get to those results that you want to achieve. My name's Lena, and I'm the very proud owner of madeit.com.au, the leading handmade marketplace in Australia, where we've got over 800 artisans and growing daily. It's so beautiful, and the collective is incredible, and I could rave on it about forever, but if you want to check out more details, you can go through to the link below. Much like the pricing video that I shared with you a couple of weeks back, and if you haven't already seen it, pop back and have a look. There's been really good feedback on how helpful that's been for other artisans. But I've got notes because there's so much that we need to cover, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing you a service and really giving you all the different aspects to consider. Now, if you do want to jump ahead in the timestamps, they're down below so that you can make it really swift and easy for you, because I know your time is precious, as is mine. So straight away, I want to get into the pros of discounts, because as a whole, discounts are actually part of a business strategy. They're not necessarily something that you just do on a whim, or you go, oh, that hasn't sold, so I'll just discount it. And again, I jump more into that in the pricing video, because often discounting would not be the first thing that I would go to if your product is not selling. Anyway, I digress. But when we talk about discounts becoming part of your business strategy, it really changes the energy and the feel around what it is that you're creating, and also something repeatable so that you understand what's happening with discounting. Now, this came up the other week when on the platform, because obviously with 800 artisans, there was quite a few Christmas decorations, beautiful handmade Christmas decorations that came on. And I saw a few artists in particular who had actually discounted their creations from last year that may not have sold. And again, this is your journey, you get to decide. But I also just want to put out there that there are so many customers that you haven't already connected with. And when we're putting out something that's beautiful and that we're showcasing the value, that's how it retains its price. We're not mass produced. We are not big verticals. Our strategy for how we show up and how we sell is totally different compared to a mass produced label that might just have stuff that they literally have to get rid of in order to be able to clear warehousefuls of stuff. But when we know how to navigate discounts, one of the key things is that discounts can be a great way for customer acquisition. And I know that may sort of sound like counterintuitive when I'm talking about adding value to your products, but often you'll have customers that have been following you for a really long time who have been right on the edge of buying from you. And then you might bring out a special offer. And I'm going to lead into this a little bit later about how you can actually manage special offers and what it looks like. And then when you've got a special offer, they're like, oh, that's my prompt from the universe, and I'm going to buy from you. So it can be a great way to really turn those customers who have already been following you into actually a purchasing customer. Now, if you're selling on a platform, as an example, they might have a promo that's happening on over a weekend or a special offer that you might like to get involved with. And that will also bring in potentially a new customer that you may not have seen before. One of the things that can be a little bit confusing about discounts is it can give you the momentum and the feel that you're bringing in more sales. And while of course that is true, there is also on the flip side the aspect that your profit margins are eaten into, right? And so in order for you to potentially make that profit margin that you really want to and need to make in your business, if you're massively discounting products, that may have eaten into all of your profit as well. So just keep that in mind. And again, check out the pricing video because I go into that a lot more about understanding what's the true costs of your creations. One of the other pros for offering a discount is that it can work really well for slow seasons. Now, every business has a season. You show me any business and there will be patterns and seasonality into how sales come into their business. So within that, if we're talking about discounting, it could be a great time that you do it when you know what your slower season is. So say for an example, if you do something that's really seasonal, then you might go, hey, there's a little bit of an opportunity for me in the off season to perhaps sell to overseas customers, but also to actually discount a little bit. And then I can leverage that to make sure that I'm getting a bit more consistency coming in with sales. Couple of cons that I've got here when it comes to discounts. And the first one, which I'd mentioned earlier in the video, is about the perceived value of a product when it's discounted. And I think that's where you want to make sure that you're always having a bit of a balance with what you're putting on sale and what's at full price, because you want to make sure that you've got those big hero pieces that you're like, that is the price. That's that really kind of, I guess, that aspirational sort of item that customers may want to buy from you. In particular, if you do something like wall art, you want to make sure that you've got levels and various levels of pricing within your offering so that it can meet customers where they are. But if you've got basically everything on sale, you'd only want to be doing that for a very short time. It wouldn't be something that you'd want to leave that on sale all the time, because the second con that I've got is that customers come to expect that it's always going to be a discount. Now, I know that there are certain brands that, and you'll know them as well, big vertical stores, that basically their entire business model is leveraged on sale. And look, you can go down that road and that might be something that you want to look into. But the reality is that is usually a method that is used when you've got a huge amount of stock. Now, if you're a handmade artisan, I'd be really surprised if you'd actually have that deep level of stock in order to be able to have everything on discount. And again, whether or not you'd even want to be sitting in that space. When we've got all of these sales happening around us, let's say it could be Black Friday, it could be Boxing Day, it could be Easter long weekend, all of those sales, that the big verticals and the mass-produced stores are always going on sale. It's kind of like, it's almost been sort of put into our psyche that that's the norm. And I really want to encourage you to forget the trends a little bit here. Your business is so different to the business models of those particular stores. Now, it might work for you to have a sale on at that time, but what I find happens with the customer is it's almost like they bundle you in the same category, and that's where it can change the artisan intention, the artisan authenticity of what it is that you create. And you may spend the rest of the year kind of like undoing that, unraveling that perception of who you are. So if you're wanting to play with actually having discount offers and particular weekends or whatever that might look like, I'd encourage you to do it at a different time of year when it's much quieter, because even though there's this huge rush as far as online and e-commerce is concerned in those sale periods and in retail stores, there's also an exhaustion that happens with customers because they're like, oh my God, if I see one more thing and I've spent all my money anyway. Whereas if you pick out a different time of year, or perhaps you do it earlier, or perhaps you do it, much later, then you might be catching customers at a different time where they might have a little bit more disposable cash as well. So let's talk about some alternatives when it comes to just typical discounting, right? And when I say typical discounting, I mean like the likes of Black Friday or the likes of, Boxing Day or any of those sort of things, so that you can have a little bit of a think about how you might like to do it differently. The first alternative is don't offer a discount and add value. Now, what does it look like when I say add value? It doesn't mean adding more items in. It means kind of really readdressing the products that you have. Now, there's a few different ways that you can do this. First and foremost, and now look, honestly, if you know me already, you know that I say this all the time, but the quality of your images. If something hasn't sold previously, the first place that I always suggest that you look is the quality of your images. And it doesn't mean that you need to get professional photos. There's so many ways with our smartphones that you can really take control of that and get the photos that you want. But it also means that, hey, have you let the ball drop? Did you just have one image No, more than one image always. You really want to be aiming for a minimum of 3, then 5, then 7. That's kind of the space that I've gone into in that separate video. But can you rephotograph the item? So if we're talking about Christmas decorations as an example, rather than discounting, could you take your same creation and go, hey, what if I gave it a completely different refresh and new feel by photographing it differently? Now that's something that you can do for pretty minimal cost. It's your time that you can put into that. And if you've got a strategy and you know what you're aiming to get with the photos, it'll make it a lot more quicker as well. The other thing that you can do when it's add value, this is quite an interesting one, but is to actually take some of your items and put it into a pack. And now you can still list those items individually as well. But what you can do is when you put things into a pack, and let's say for an example, again, we're going down the Christmas route, so let's just follow with that. If you had a few creations from last year that you thought you were selling them individually, have you tried putting them together into a bit of a gift pack? And when we're talking about gift pack, you want to think about what's that price point that I want to be sitting at. You know, is it under $50? Is it $75? Is it just under $100, right? But that could be a really clever way that you could kind of bring together some of your items and offer it as a pack. Now, you can still list them individually. There's no reason why you can't. That's the beauty of online, that you might have it set up that, hey, this is a gift pack, but also if you'd like to buy the items individually, here's the price as well. So it gives the opportunity for the customers to have a look at what they're buying. And maybe when you put them in a pack, you give a slight discount on the product, but it's almost built into the actual pack rather than having price slashed. Another way that you can offer discounts is actually as a loyalty discount. And that means that if you've got customers who have already purchased from you, let's say if they write a review on your products as an example, right? You might want to email them back and go, hey, thank you so much for writing that amazing review. I'd love to offer you a 10% discount off your next purchase. Now, something I want to add on top of that, and I'm going to be sharing a lot more as well about the method of email marketing and what you can learn there. But within that would be to actually say that it's got a time frame on it. So let's say it might be 10% discount off the creations to use in the next 30 days. Now, there's a couple of reasons for doing that. First and foremost, the human brain works better if it's given boundaries, right? If it's just open, and I'm sure you can relate to this as a creative, right? You can kind of go off on a tangent and forget about it. But also as well, if you've given them a time frame restraint, it means that you've got opportunity to go back, reconnect with the customer and go, hey, just making sure that, you know, your discount code is going to expire in 10 days or 15 days, whatever it is. Just a gentle nudge to see if you wanted to buy anything. By the way, you may not have seen these that you'll love, right? And you might actually pick out something from the range that, based on what they've already purchased, might be a little bit of a carrot dangling to guide them into potentially buying another item from you. This last idea for an alternative, which is probably my favorite one, and from my fashion label that we use this quite regularly. When I say regularly, a couple of times throughout the year, maybe 3 times throughout the year at random, right? But was free shipping weekends. Now, if you're already offering free shipping on your creations, amazing. This one may not work for you, but perhaps you could come up with something like a free gift inside. And a free gift could be something really small that you've created, but heads up as well, when you're giving a free gift and you're a handmade artisan, make sure that it's something that you've made, because I think that when you add in something random and it's mass produced, it's like, what's the brand story that you're telling there in that moment? Anyway, I digress. But the beauty of those free shipping weekends, if you don't already offer free shipping, it means that you're building in a discount in that moment so that the customer doesn't have it. But there's a real mental block with customers as well about having to pay for shipping on top, even though we all know that there's the logistics and the cost of what that might look like. But I'd be really interested to know how that might work for you. And if you've done it before, pop it in the comments and please share so that we can all collectively learn from it. But the cincher that you do with the free shipping weekend, it often doesn't work if you just go on Friday, oh, it's a free shipping weekend. Now, it might do, but I would encourage you to really put your marketing hat on for a second and go, how could I do this better? And one of the ways that I would suggest it would be where you're using, say, the 5 days in the lead up to the weekend, maybe even the 7 days, to say, hey, something's coming. We've got a special treat for you next weekend, and you're literally drip feeding it through all of your socials so that you've got customers there and waiting waiting to see what it is that you're about to share with them. And of course, that it's a special treat just for them. And then when you've got that free shipping weekend, it means that you can take the opportunity to spend that whole weekend completely blasting out that message. The beauty of doing these sale promotionals over a weekend is that you can bombard your socials with it. And I know so many artisans are a little bit hesitant to bombard people with that sort of thing. You've got to remember that if you've been value adding and sharing your story as a handmade artisan, it's very unlikely that people will unfollow you. What's more likely to happen is that the people who are really not your customer and really not your true and correct target customer, they may drop off, but that's okay. We've got to be okay with that energetic, like draw the people in that are meant to find us. And it's okay that the ones are not meant to be in our space, that they kind of move away. But I'd love to see how you go with this. Or again, have you tried it already? Please share below so that we can all check it out. Now, throughout this whole entire discussion of discounts, the number one thing that you really need to be doing when we talk about building discounts or even working on your pricing as part of your strategy, or just strategy as a whole, right, is to make sure that you're tracking what you're doing. Now, for each and every one of us, that tracking is going to look a little different, but what are the key metrics or key indicators that you could use to really determine whether or not you're being successful? Now, of course, we've got sales as a metric, but what else could it be? Could it be that you had great conversations? Could it be that you got people's email addresses? Email addresses are gold. There'll be a lot more about that in the future. But what are the metrics that are really going to help you determine whether or not you had success in that moment? Now, when it comes to that free shipping weekend idea, you could talk about what was the influx of traffic that you had at the time, what was the influx of engagement, and how much was I actually able to turn that into a sale. Now, if you don't manage to get sales on this at all the first time you do it, it's the first time you do it. And I highly doubt that will be the case, but still, it's the first time you're doing this. Give yourself a little bit of credit for actually being able to go on this journey of discovery, to be the ever-evolving learner, and to know that things can take time and you'll be growing in the process as well. So each week, I'm going to be sharing with you more tips and tricks to really simplify and amplify your journey online. So make sure that you like, subscribe, follow all the things. And if you're an artisan, I would love you to pop a link down below to your creations. I would love to see what you're doing, or pop a picture so that I can really see what your creations are. And also, if you're an artisan and you're not already part of the Made It Collective, what are you waiting for? You need to go and check it out. It is such a beautiful environment, and it really is taking creative community to a whole nother level. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.